Hey, how's it going? So I'm reading some cards, and actually, I pulled one yesterday, and then later I pulled one for today. And then, what I mean is it was officially Sunday, and then the clock turned over past midnight and turned into today, and it's now actually many hours later. But so okay, I pulled three. I pulled 5 cards. I was trying to keep this like really not too complicated for my own sake, but I got what I got. Anyway, none of my stuff is in the right place here. So I pulled 3 from the animal spirit, or the wild unknown cards. And I did look at the guidebook because I'm not fully competent with them, even though I've had them a long time. And I'll go along with some of what it said, but I had already gotten my own impression. So the first one I pulled was horse. And in the book she talks about some characteristics of the horse which are completely true. They are sort of, shoot, and I already lost my page. I wanted to sort of be able to check it, what I was talking about. I'm so good at this. Okay, so no, other way. Other way. Anyway, here we go. She talks about how it is reliable and so supportive. It's a herd animal, so supportive actually makes sense. But it's also kind of like a dog in a sense, as far as being a domesticated animal, because people do grow a similar bond with a horse. And so it's going to be reliable and be loyal to you when you need it. And, it's going to help you as best it can. And that's all true horse characteristic stuff. And it talks about how the horse personality is fully awakened, fully alive, and cannot be defeated. The horse's freedom becomes available to us when we hone and collect our energy through daily practice, physical stamina, exercise, and mental focus meditation. They are the secret weapons behind a horse's legacy. So, yes, okay, 100%. But what I also thought about was that this is a symbol for America. And in a lot of ways, America, like if you ask any politician, man, I can't stop fiddling with stuff. I have something here I don't want to knock over and make me a big old pile of a mess. So horses, symbol of America, freedom. Also, book talked about that, like the horse is very symbolic. But at the same time, like American democracy, the horse is kind of endangered, like wild species in open areas where nothing's really going on, like no production and like it's open spaces, no buildings are happening. There's like places where not even a pipeline is going on, and the horses are just there grazing, running around. They're not hurting anyone, but someone has found a use for them for sale overseas as food. And I know that like cowboy culture, another well-known symbol of America and American freedom, and the whole westward momentum, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and build a life on the frontier. Like the horse is like integral to the cowboy motif, which is integral to America's image in a lot of ways. So they're hunted to get them out of the way for, I don't know, like maybe people want to come in and start building stuff, which is like completely believable. And also selling them for food, completely callous, because they're so beautiful, and you're removing them from their ecosystem, and it's just wrong. I feel like it's so wrong. But the thing is a horse is also very vulnerable. They are fearful, rightfully so. Like, I'm thinking of a horse in a barn that's on fire, and like maybe they can't unlatch their stall because they don't have thumbs, and they're smart, so they know what's going to happen to them. I'd be screaming and trying to jump out too. It's not funny, but they're powerful. Like, we name our vehicle power, distance quotation, to like the monikers of a horsepower. I just, like, I can't believe they're so enmeshed with America and American spirit and all these American representations, and they're just like a throwaway now. Like, I don't know if it's because people are too young, or like to understand the value of it, or they're so old they're just too jaded to care that they're killing off something beautiful and a beautiful symbol of the country they supposedly love, that they're so patriotic of. But those same people, I think, might be more patriotic to money. And so people and beautiful things and beautiful places don't. So development, that was the word I was searching for, with the land. It's not being developed yet. Like, we can't just have a beautiful open space. Somebody has to go in and start getting their dirty construction hands all over it. So, okay, big long discourse there about the horse. But actually, this was the first card I pulled, because I pulled one card yesterday and then two sticking together I pulled yesterday. So I accidentally was showing you a yesterday card, but it doesn't really matter because it's all of a piece. So the eagle, same thing. I'm not going to actually pull out the book because it's a lot of the same kind of things that about the horse, like upselling its good qualities, like the ability to be far-seeing because they have excellent eyesight from way up high, but also being up high is a symbolic way to see, like, overlook a big situation. It's like you fly up above the forest to get away from tree blindness, and the eagle can do that. And that is a suggestion of power, or a symbol of power. And also the eagle, another American symbol for, like, oh God, I don't know. Like, all these words are coming to mind: peace, unity, but then, like, they're not really ringing true, because I'm finding hard to, like, align those with current America. And I know that I tend to be, like, very sort of broad swath brushing, and I don't mean to be, but I'm talking about, like, one specific thing, so I'm not actually broad swathing. I hope it's understood, especially now that I've kind of said so. But the eagle, for me too, also, like, huge American symbol, national bird, and endangered. I think it might just be out of endangered jeopardy at the moment, but not, like, in a huge a number that makes me feel comforted about it. Like, I would want there to be 4 digits and 5 digits worth of eagles alive that we know about, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's in the hundreds. And I think that, well, we're not supposed to hunt them. I think people do anyway. I think that there's a lot of runoff into the water that they use to eat and, well, to drink. I think that places where their food, their prey is, or possibly consuming bad stuff. Like, I think that they're just not in good health. And I also think that there might be a level of depression because they are also smart like horses, and they probably realize, like I was just talking about this the other day, like the sharks tipping over the boats, that the trash and the pollution does not come from the animal kingdom. It comes from the human kingdom. And I'm not sure. Like, I know where I am, and I know other places, when eagles nest somewhere, like on a traffic cam or something like that, usually like a news station, they'll make a big deal of it. Or one will nest somewhere that where a nest on a pole, or a pole will be provided so they can nest, because like where I am, there's been a lot of logging and a lot of housing development, so that their habitat is being taken away. And I think they're depressed. And I think the horses also smart, and the sharks also smart, and the dolphins also smart, and lots of other things see what's going on and are depressed, because most of them don't do processed stuff except for like our leavings, and that is not great for them. It's not what they're meant to consume. So I also just, this is just like kind of a bummer. I'm really sorry. But like the angels, yes, there are bird angels, and they're teaching us a lesson. All of the animals, we could just treat them better by, my God, quit messing with their habitat. It's also ours. It's not doing us any good either. And so the other, sorry, tangent, and the third card, hold on. The third card that I pulled was the firefly card. And that's pretty obvious, I would think. If I was going to say, if you know anything about fireflies, I know very little, as it turns out, except for what I've read in books. I didn't see one, like a good picture of one flying and turning its light on and off, until a couple of years ago. And so I would love to see one in person. They seem magical, but I've never seen them where I live, or never heard anyone talk about them, so I guess they're not in this area. But the thing that's obvious about them is that they flare brightly momentarily. And in this deck, they fully represent like the burst of divine creativity or inspiration. And I'm laughing because when I first started doing this, I was talking about divine light being white gold, and there is your white and your gold tone, because it's the burst of inspiration and what I just said. So as far as being American symbols, I think they are, as much as they're, in my mind, whether you've experienced it or not, I would think that when you think of a firefly, it conjures up an image of like being a child on a summer evening, maybe lying on your back on a hillside with like flowers or whatever, or just like a slight incline in your yard, whatever it is, but looking up at the stars and just enjoying being outside and hearing the sounds. And then at the whatever time they do it, I would imagine there's a time, because I don't think they're just up all night shining their lights. I don't know, but I've never heard of it. But they appear because their lights come on, and I'm sure it's just very cool looking, and they do whatever they do in the flying around, and I imagine it's magical. And so that is something for me that seems quintessentially American, is like to have that experience. And I'm sure it's other that way other places, but I don't live other places. And I haven't had anything like that from anywhere else sort of inserted in my imagination slot. Pardon, my throat chakra seems to be trying to choke me. Throat choke me. So yeah, getting very America vibes with those things. But those I pulled yesterday. Here is what I pulled. I pulled one yesterday and two today, early in the morning. So yesterday, this is funny because, well, you'll see. It's card number 59 from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. And I don't know why I squinch up that eye. It doesn't help a dang thing. Sorry, I'm trying to see that. I'm going to have to turn it around. It says reconciliation. Oh my gosh, just one word. So, wailing tree, reconciliation. And what the guidebook says about this is, it's sort of, let me just read the book and not fumble. Wailing tree, grief and mourning, a time of necessary losses, reconciliations. When you encounter the wailing tree on your path, it's an invitation to stay a while and regroup, a place for you to rest and allow yourself to say goodbye to what no longer serves. You may excuse me. You may have been overdoing things, working too hard, or putting too much effort into life with little reward. If you've been considering making a change, now's the time to do so. One important thing to consider before you make any changes is that you need to allow yourself to feel your disappointment, your loss, and mourn what was and what could not be. This is a way to honor your experience, to give yourself time to consider all the gifts in it, to put proper closure on it, to really know what you've to really know what you've learned as you walk away from it and into something new. Excuse me. Even in the perception of failure, there's much good to be discovered. However, skipping the stages of loss doesn't get you to reconciliation any faster. In fact, you will discover that you'll discover you will have to come back at some point. So do it all now. Look at it all squarely and honestly and stay within your feelings. Life is not either or, it's both and, this and that. So as you dive in and process this, allow it to become a temporary travel companion on your journey. The feelings that this will bring to the surface will be challenging for sure. Yet, like all things, they will pass soon enough and you will be more enriched by the experience. So, nothing too odd there, right? But look at this card. This is the person processing away the experiences of what doesn't serve anymore. And I don't know if you can tell, but this is a tree. And that's the leaf canopy, and it seems to be totally fire. I'm not saying it's on fire. I'm just saying it's a tree of fire. And then, because there's branches going into the canopy. There's the trunk, and then in the trunk, you can see a very anguished face, and I would assume is processing the not great feelings. So. Card number 59 from yesterday, right? Okay. And then many hours later, I pull this card, number 58. I just pulled 59 the day before. I shuffled, I cut, I just sat there and hand shuffled. I, did the, like a dealer at a casino. I don't know what you call it. Just split the deck and brrr, did that, cut, shake, did the whole thing. And then I pulled the number before the day before number. Remember 59? So now that I made that as hard to understand as possible. 58, vanishing mirror. Ego sublimation. Just bear with me. Vanishing mirror. Ego sublimation. Letting go of self-centeredness. Becoming a vessel of possibility. Do you ever wonder if your self-definition has become too rigid, too fixed around what you've come to learn, so that you contract your life into zones of safe versus unsafe? This here is okay, but over there, well, that might be too risky. Judgment, fear, self-righteousness, and overconfidence are some of the only traits that keep you from evolving. We are all products of our conditioning, so remember that this is part of the human experience. Yet you are not meant to remain static, seeking only what you expect, even if it appears ambitious. It is still too narrow. You go nowhere when you hesitate to move out of your comfort zone. When you focus too much on yourself, this way, you become a servant of the ego. It edges God out, removing the magic of possibility. Imagine looking into a mirror and seeing only what you are now. If you can let your self-definition soften, moving beyond the veil to your potential, a magical emptiness exists where all things are possible. Etch-a-sketch. That's me, Etch-a-sketch. Look again. Who could you be? What would you see reflected if you allowed yourself to be other than how you define yourself now? Nothing less is required of you. In this moment, let go of who you think you are and allow a new you to emerge. You will recognize yourself as what you are, a partner in co-creation, in service to the divine. Doesn't it feel good? I just want to repeat a line because I read it kind of choppily and I think it's important. What would you see reflected if you allowed yourself to be other than how you define yourself now? What if you're confined by your definition? What if it's making you lash out when you see, this is Pride Month, so it just seemed pertinent. Does it make you mad to see people dressing up and dancing and having fun in just a frenzy of joyful difference? Does it make you hurt and hate because you want to join in, but your definition of yourself is so rigid that you can't? So that was what I thought of when I thought of the person in the tree. And that's just an example. Like, I don't know what all people feel confined by that they're fully a party to because of conditioning, because we often don't know how to or believe that we can break out of conditioning. Like, even if you feel the most horrible you've ever felt, and you know you would feel so much better prancing around dressed up in drag in a loud parade with music and dancing and laughing and fun, but you can't let yourself do it, how horrible that must feel. And I can understand how it might make someone lash out or want to lash out, because we're just beasts anymore. We don't know how to express ourselves without, like, if you can't resolve a conflict immediately to your liking and debase your opponent, then life is not worth living. And you must end someone's with the gun, mine, yours, everybody. It doesn't seem to really matter. It's just like the gun is the big cordite stinky exclamation point. Pardon me. I hope I'm not offending the sensibilities of whatever's choking me, but that was a joke. The choking part. The rest of it, no, not a joke. And And so there are, like I said, a number of situations that I can't name because I don't know what they are. I guess what I did name in detail to feel uncomfortable about just makes sense to say right now because it's Pride Month. But even if it weren't, like last month, LGBTQ community people were getting terribly treated, and I don't begrudge them their month. I don't begrudge them their anything when it's not their month, but my goodness. We get overly upset about things that, like, well, maybe we're upset exactly the right degree, but I feel like maybe misdirected upsetness, discomfort. Anyway, I think I covered all of the bases I wanted to talk about there. That was easier than I thought. Thank you and good night.